Good evening. I'm Devin Bartolotta along with Chief Meteorologist Chris Franklin. Welcome to the Weekend Weather Guide here on WWL Plus. We are streaming this afternoon. We were talking about the tropics earlier, but there's some good news on that front.
Yes, we've been talking about the model consistency and showing really nothing forming. The models have continuously said that over the last couple of days. So what had been a 50% chance development over the weekend, last few days down to 40%, and as of the 7 o'clock advisor from the Hurricane Center, down to a 30%. So
nice.
It's now a low chance of developing because the models really are just not grabbing onto anything forming, which again is great news. We've been talking about the fact that we're going to have a lot of factors going in our favor, even if something were to try and form, but it's looking less likely that anything would even form.
And when we talked about it earlier today, you were saying that this was like a precursor to a precursor. This was just like an area of mess.
It's an area of mess, but there's no mess to even track yet. So and it's a kind of double-edged sword, because while it's great, these models are good at giving us maybe a bit more advance notice, kind of sniffing something out. In that early stage, before even something is there, the models are not always going to do a great job, and sometimes they're going to nail it. They were able to sniff out what eventually became Helene. They're sniffing something out here, which again, we'll wait and see until probably early next week, may not be anything. And there have been occasions where the Hurricane Center have highlighted medium and even at times high chances of development, and then just it doesn't happen.
So in this case, what are the chances of this dissipating, falling apart, us never seeing it, or getting some rain from it?
Well, we're not going to get any rain from it.
Okay.
Likely Florida will get the rain.
Gotcha.
And most of the rainfall that develops is really just going to sit over the Gulf. We're going to have, by the time this system tries to organize, a cold front moving through. And so once this, if at all, which again is now looking less likely, tries to organize, it wouldn't be until Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. At that point, we've already had a cold front move through, and the threat from it coming at us is already gone.
We're good.
Yeah, we're already in good shape.
Awesome. Well, we have been taking some questions from you, our viewers, on social media, just some things that you wanted to ask Chris, and here he is. So let's do that. We're going to start with Brittany from Covington. This is not her question. So Brittany from Covington, she's someone who really interacts a lot on our page. So
okay, good.
Shout out to you, Brittany. Her wedding day
really?
is October
Congratulations.
12th. Congratulations. And she wants to know if she'll have rain on her wedding day.
All right.
I had to do it. October 12th. What do you say?
Well, at this point, a little too far out to know for certain.
Okay.
What is promising, though, I mentioned we'll have a cold front move through during the day on Monday, which will bring in some, actually kind of a real front. So a little bit cooler, highs, low 80s, less humid air. And there are suggestions of another front kind of following not long behind that. So hopefully, if we can time it out right, maybe a little bit of a fall feel for October 12th, but a little too far out to know for certain.
A fall feel by October 12th would be wonderful.
That would be great. And really by mid-October is usually, as we've said, we can breathe that sigh of relief from tropical threats that would be cause for evacuation, which again, we're not looking at right now.
All right, fingers crossed.
Yes.
Congratulations, Brittany. Also, we've got a question from Robin from Harahan. She said she's headed out to Anna Maria Island, which you said is near Sarasota. Near
Sarasota, kind of the Tampa area. Right now, it's not looking like anything tropical would develop per se, but this will likely be a big rainmaker for the Gulf of Mexico. And certainly as our front moves through, a lot of the guidance, the models have been indicating what is going to push this front through will kind of draw a lot of that moisture eastward across the Gulf, so over Florida and then into the Atlantic. So Florida does not need to see any additional rain. This non-system, even unnamed, can bring in heavy amounts of rainfall, may be a pretty big rainmaker for Florida.
Okay, so kind of hang on to that if she's headed out to
I mean, right now we're looking at probably a lot of rain, certainly by end of the weekend and next week.
Okay. Our third question comes from Elaine, who is from the outskirts of the village of Tangipahoa and Kentwood, and she says she would like to know about the oldest fair in Louisiana and what the weather will be like for the Tangipahoa Parish Fair this weekend.
Weekend is not looking terrible. We were talking about that rain chance coming in. And again, the rain chances starting tomorrow, so Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, kind of unrelated. So what we're looking at for potential development in the Gulf, which again, reiterating, is low, is actually not there yet. So what we're trying to see is this system coming out of either the Bay of Campeche or the Caribbean try to develop, there may be kind of some semblance of a broad circulation, a big broad low, but that really isn't until early next week. And as I mentioned, we're already having a front. So the rain that we're getting is kind of unrelated to that tropical development.
Okay.
Most of the rainfall, with that being said, is going to be more south shore down toward the coast. So rain chances, rain coverage is going to be much higher from the city, maybe river parishes south, and less of a chance for Amite and the North Shore. So less of a chance of rain, less accumulation. Right now, rain totals North Shore probably a tenth or maybe a little more, toward a quarter of an inch over the course of about 4 days. A little bit more south of the lake, probably a half inch to an inch or more, and then maybe nearing like the 2 to 3 inches right along the coastline or into the southern part of Plaquemines Parish.
Oh, good to know. So pretty good weather for the fair.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you might have to dodge a couple of passing light showers, but not a washout. And really, none of the areas this weekend, South or North Shore, look to be a washout.
Good. Before we wrap up, can we talk a little bit about the Atlantic as a whole?
Yes, we can.
We talked about there's some stuff happening out there.
There are a couple of stuffs going on,
stuffs.
And thankfully, neither of those pose any kind of a threat. I'm going to see if I can widen out my graphic here so you can see it.
So this was the mess that we
So this was the mess, and that's
about.
what was encouraging, was that the graphic updated as of 6, and now the yellow color means less than a 40% chance, which is a low percent chance.
Great.
And again, we got these 2 waves that we'll be keeping an eye on, but really doesn't look like anything formed from that. So I'm going to widen back out. We do have Kirk with winds of 90 miles an hour, so a strong Cat 1. Thankfully, as you see from the forecasted track, it's going to stay out over the open water, and in fact will likely become a major hurricane. Always interesting to study these things when they're out over the open Atlantic, not a threat to anyone.
Yeah.
Hurricane Center does like us to stress, though, that these are major shipping channels and major shipping lanes.
Sure.
However, ships can move and cities cannot. So
Very good
while
points.
they don't like that a lot of television meteorologists call these fish storms, because they say, well, people are impacted, and I agree. However, ships can also move. These are well forecasted systems. They can move out of the way. Now behind Kirk will be TD13, soon to be Leslie, and it's going to basically follow right in the path of Kirk. So 2 storms that are named, not a threat to land at all.
That's great. Okay, so for now, we're in the clear, and we're just kind of
are in the clear
holding
for now.
our breath, crossing our fingers,
saying
all the prayers.
And we pray for more cold fronts, because cold fronts, when they start moving in, that tends to put an end to our hurricane season.
We need some sweater weather, Chris.
Well, low 80s next week. I don't know if that's necessarily.
That's a light sweater.
That's maybe some 50s on the North Shore, kind of a sweater. That's in the morning, then you can lose it during the day, because it's still Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
We don't really get fronts,
Not yet.
Not yet, but soon. Soon.
All right, Chris, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you all for watching. Be sure to tune into the WWL Louisiana News at 10. Remember, you can always stream our newscasts on WWL+. You'll also get the latest breaking news, weather forecasts, and up-to-date information on the tropics. You can watch it on Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and our WWL mobile app. Thank you all for tuning in.